The college football experience, Florida State Seminoles 2023 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Bird Dog Shorts. Dominate the summer with an amazing pair of shorts and a free Yeti-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. Once again, that is birddogs.com/pool.
Hey, everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Florida State Seminoles 2023 season preview episode. Everyone's talking about the Seminoles. They're back. It's like Bowden's back on the sidelines of track. Now in track, do you slow up at the end of a race? No, you do not. All right. And that's what they're thinking. And look, perhaps, maybe we're buying into what the Seminoles are selling in 2023. Maybe you're just tuning in and you're wondering, who the hell are you listening to? My name is Colby Swing of Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Woo!
Amen.
I mean, do we need to talk about the history behind this program? Is this the real DBU? Terrell Buckley, Deion Sanders, Leroy Butler, Samari Roll,
Jalen Ramsey.
Woo. Go on and on and on about the Donnie Abraham. Go on and on and on. There's a clip.
Prime time.
Yeah, so many greats with the Florida State Seminoles. And perhaps they're back where, they're supposed to be. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi, well,
let's get it going. Let's fucking get it going. I'm excited to be talking college football every single day of the summer. That's all I do. I wake up, I breathe college football, I go to sleep. All right? It's fucking fantastic. I recommend you do the same, folks. We're also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself, big Sterling Palmer fan. That's an old Florida State guy. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free like giving, farmer. Heard the Basketball League of MP. Give it up, and see Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's up, guys?
This is what's up.
So we get our kicks doing the Seminole rap. We are the Seminoles of Florida State.
Heat.
We know we're good, some say we're great.
Absolute
Like
fire.
always simple, best in the land. Rocking to the beat of the Modest Cheese Band on Saturday night. We'll start our stuff.
Simpler times.
I mean, you could make an argument that Mike Norvell has revived the Modest Cheese Band. All right, that's what they said in the lyric there, rocking to the beat of the Modest Cheese Band. Perhaps.
Now I have to look this up and see if this is a real thing.
Well, that's what the lyric said. I
I
haven't done my deep dive on the Modest Cheese Band, but
I think I've heard Modest Mouse, and is there some kind of?
Yeah.
I mean, that was way after Modest Cheese here, but I don't know.
Well, maybe Mike Norvell's serving up Modest Cheese to all college football world, or maybe he's super legit. He needed that great season a year ago, where the Florida State Seminoles, after some tough years, some down years. Florida State Seminoles burst through in 22. And I got to admit, I took the under last year. I was an idiot. I was even on a Florida State podcast and made a case for the under. Now,
I don't think that makes you an idiot after the struggles they had for the previous 5 years.
I also thought that a couple other teams, like I looked like a genius, I thought, in the middle of the year when they lost to Wake, NC State, and Clemson. But I also thought Miami would be a little bit better, and I also thought Florida would be better, and I think that's where I lost it. And LSU I thought would beat them in a blocked extra point. Classic game. But, hey, I lost. I'm a fucking idiot. I'll own it. But tomorrow is a new day, and here we are talking Florida State Seminoles. Guys, Mike Norvell, I'm curious. State of the program. Mike Norvell, obviously preseason top 10, top 15. He's 18-16 in 3 years in Tallahassee. Now, to be fair, he did start the COVID season, which shouldn't wish that on any brand new head coach starting that year and that catastrophe that happened. But, Patty C, you buying into what Mike Norvell's doing in Tallahassee?
Yes and no. I mean, I think that I was wrong. I said before, I think it's been top 10 transfer portal years for the last 2 years, but the recruiting rankings really leave something to be desired. It's been in the 20s for like the last 5 or 6 cycles. So that's not all.
They've been
his
super
fault.
aggressive in the portal, though.
Yeah,
super aggressive in the portal.
Going in the
maybe
portal.
that's where it's paying off. Maybe,
but Florida State fans, they don't picture themselves as a 20s recruiting team. They probably picture themselves as a top 5, and maybe rightfully so, right?
Yeah, sure. NC Nick, what's your take on Mike Norvell?
I'm buying in. I think, this is a huge year in year 4, but year 3, winning 10 games, basically, he doubled the win total from 2021. So I think if you're a Florida State fan, you have to be happy. Last year, they beat the likes of LSU, Florida, Oklahoma, some big names, and really everything should culminate in year 4. And the table is set for him to do that. On paper, this team is loaded.
One of the things I loved was the players playing for him. They elected to come back, but also in the games,
fight. You saw a fight.
I think they even elected to play in the bowl game, stuff like that. Like you really saw
buy-in.
That was what made me really realize that maybe because I thought Norvell coming in, I was like, I don't know if I'm sold on this hire. Seeing that happen last season, I thought, hey, maybe he's got something here.
To your point, at that 3-game losing streak, maybe at that point they're only 4-3. The season's not going as they planned. Maybe some people transfer out. People aren't happy. People, the effort starts to be diminished. No, they go on and win 6 straight.
Now, to be fair, though, play devil's advocate, none of those teams had a winning record.
True. You can poke some holes in those 10 wins.
Yeah, they beat Georgia Tech, Miami. No, I'm saying the final 6. That Louisville had a winning record and LSU had a winning record. Those are all
poke some holes.
Yeah, you can still poke some holes. Every other team had a losing record that they faced. Maybe that's a red flag. I don't know. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about the portal, the offense, the defense, the special teams. We're gonna go game by game on the schedule and project just how we think the Seminoles will do in 23. So, but before we do that, let's get paid here. I want to tell you that the College Football Experience Florida State Seminoles 2023 season preview is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make you look good. What did Deion say, Patty C?
You look good, you feel good. Or you look good, you feel good. You feel good, you pay good. God, I'm butchering.
You look good, you play good. You play good, they pay good.
There you go.
There we go. I thought it was something like that.
There you go.
The first
There's
one
no
you
feeling.
said, I think. Yeah.
One was Jordan, but Deion Sanders added the pay good part at the end of it.
Well, look, I think he got that from Bird Dogs because Bird Dogs are stretch khaki shorts and they're designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. You're going to look like fucking, you throw on some, look, you might be some tall drink of water that looks like you haven't done anything in life. And, all of a sudden you throw on some Bird Dogs, you're going to look like fucking Peter Boulware back there. All right. All right. That's the way these things are going to work for you. All right. And look,
Look like Rock Preston.
Yeah, man. Pooh Bear Williams up in this here. So let's go. They fit way better than regular shorts. To be honest, regular shorts, I can't tell you how many times. We've got some intel down there in Tallahassee. Apparently Bobby Bowden was wearing. Remember that big hat he would wear? It looked like he's fucking Crocodile Dundee.
Oh yeah,
right. He'd wear that hat to make sure his sun wouldn't get through.
Plantation hat.
Yeah, and Bobby Bowden will walk around and complain about regular shorts. He said they're stiff, they're restricted cotton. Sweat just bubbling off my ass in Florida with the humidity, right? But then he got Bird Dog shorts and everything turned around, all right? He started, because Bird Dogs fixed this issue a while back by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks like khakis but stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice all that movement. You're gonna feel like Charlie Ward back there. You know what I mean? It's gonna be bobbing and weaving, defenders throwing touchdowns. All right,
moving and grooving. Who is it? Derek Brooks that they based the middle linebacker in the program after because he looks so damn good.
James Conn was Bowden. Is that
James
true?
Conn was Bowden in that.
Yeah. There you go.
No, Red Bow you was Bobby Bowden from Waterboy. We all know that.
Look, Bird Dog uses anti-stink sweat wicking
I thought
fabric.
that was Coach O. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was Coach O. What are you talking about? Yeah.
No, that's Farmer Fran.
Farmer Fran. What is this? The fucking Guess Who game? What's going on here? All right, look, let me finish this here. Bird Dog uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all summer long. You're gonna be smelling like a rose. Because look, let's be honest. Like, we all love Florida college football. They do a great job supporting college football, except at Miami when like 12 fans show up. But at Florida State, even UCF, the bounce house, they pack those things. And Florida represents college football well. But you're going to be sweating your ass off because we've all been to Florida, and it's a fantastic, fantastic place. But at the same time, you're going to be sweating. So get that anti-stink sweat wicking fabric, because that's like calling the old play action fake right there. You're going to end up meeting up with your girl. You're not going to smell like you've been just rummaging through all the garbage in Tijuana. You know what I mean? You're just going to be sitting there smelling like a plum.
There you go.
I don't know if plum smell, but sounds good. All right. Go to birddogs.com/pool and enter the promo code POOL, POOL, for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. They're just going to toss you a tumbler in there. Come on, look. I watched a lot of Cops episodes where I feel like 90% of them take place in Florida, and they got like some type of cocktail in their hands. You're going to have a tumbler right here. Come on. What are you doing, folks? Birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti style tumbler. They won't know what's inside. That's half the battle.
Now you're selling. Now you're doing some selling.
That's half the battle. They will not know what's inside.
To the good folks in Tallahassee, discretion is worth all the money in the world.
That's what I'm talking about. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We can promise you that. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Time to talk a little transfer portal. Like I said, that's how the way Norvell's been doing. He said, my recruiting rankings, okay, yeah, suffering. Not a problem. So I'm just going to go out and get everybody on my team. All right. And he's been doing it and doing it and doing it well, like LL Cool J, Patty C.
Hello.
All right. Now, here we go. Departing. I like to say who's departing first. Safety, Travis J. He's a Colorado Buffalo. He says, we coming. All right. Says we coming. Michael Pittman at wide receiver. He is a Utah Ute. The two Utes. Bishop Thomas at defensive lineman. He's a Colorado Buffalo. Cornerback Marion Cooper. He's now a Colorado Buffalo. Say we coming. Dion, just go in there. Offensive lineman Antavius Woody heads to UAB and Trent Dilfer. Offensive lineman Zane Herring went to the South Florida Bulls. Linebacker Steven Dix Jr. went to Marshall Thundering Herd. Safety Brendan Gant went to the Colorado Buffaloes. Defensive end Derek McClendon II went to the Colorado Buffaloes.
Enjoy those backups.
Yeah. It's a nice service you're doing for
depth counts, man.
Yeah. Wide receiver Malik McClain goes to Penn State. Interesting. Running back Treshawn Ward goes to the Kansas State Wildcats. Cornerback Malik Feaster goes to the Memphis Tigers. We Tigers. Cornerback Damori Tate's in the portal. Offensive tackle Lloyd Willis goes to Marshall. Cornerback Sam McCall goes to Texas A&M. They lost the defensive end George Wilson to the Campbell Camels. Linebacker Sidney Williams to Missouri. Wide receiver Keyshawn Helton goes to the Cincinnati Bearcats. Offensive tackle Rod Orr goes to the Toledo Rockets. Shambra Jackson, defensive end, goes to UMass. Defensive lineman Jarrett Jackson goes to Michigan State. Man, this fucking team, this is reading. Linebacker Amari Gaynor goes to North Carolina. And I think that's all departing. Now, incoming.
Yeah, right.
This portal shit. All right. I just might as well. It's like picking up a phone book and from the 1990s and just reading names. Tight end Kyle Morlock coming in. This one is an interesting one because he comes over from Shorter University. Look, they got Jared Verse from Albany, and no one had any idea he was going to be just a freak of nature. Maybe this Kyle Morlock guy from Shorter University, Patty C. Maybe he's something. They also got Braden Fisk from defensive lineman from Western Michigan. These guys are highly sought after. They were highly sought after. They got offensive lineman Casey Roddick from Colorado. So that was the deal. They got a starter from Colorado's offensive line a year ago. It's going to start this year on the offensive line, or they're going to send you a bunch of their backups. That was the trade. They also got cornerback Fentrell Cypress from Virginia, who was a beast. That's what I'm saying. They did a great job in the portal. Offensive tackle Jeremiah Byers from UTEP. He flashed at UTEP. They were excited about that get, 4-star get. Auburn offensive lineman Keiondre Jones was a huge loss for Auburn. He comes into Florida State. Jaheim Bell from South Carolina had a great year at South Carolina. He comes into Florida State. I mean, they really did a great job at the portal. Defensive lineman, actually, hold on, let me load this up. Defensive lineman Daryl Jackson. He transfers in from the Miami Hurricanes. And Patty C, to go from Miami.
Shots fired.
To where the hell is my sound job here? I can't find anything, but my point is like that's just terrible. That should just not happen. So I am worried about the character of this team.
Well, you got to be worried about real quick the character of the defensive coordinator here, or one of the linebacker co-defensive coordinator, Randy Shannon. That's a Miami guy.
What the hell's happening over here?
He was running out of town.
Yeah,
I don't recall.
Look,
I don't recall George Washington being a redcoat. Do you?
I do not.
Right? I'm just saying.
Although Benedict Arnold, aka Benedict Dantold, was run out of town as well. And
that's true. That's true. Defensive end Gilbert Edmond comes in from South Carolina. That's another decent get. Then they loaded up. They got, this is the big one, Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Michigan State. Man, they really killed it in the portal. As much as they lost guys, I think they definitely won. Right? I mean, getting some of those guys, all household names in college football, with the exception of that kid from Shorter University, which he's a household name down at Shorter University. Word is he went through all the women down there.
Look, guys, if you look at transfer portal rankings, they got Fentrell Cypress, a cornerback from UVA. He's a top 10 guy. They got Jaheim Bell, the tight end from South Carolina, top 15 guy. Fisk, the defensive end from Western Michigan, top 20 guy. Byers, the tackle, top 35. I mean, I can go on and on. And the biggest
Keon
loss,
Coleman was a beast at Michigan State this year.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest loss was Sam McCall, the cornerback, who was kind of a part-time player for them. So make no mistake, they lost a lot of guys, but they won the portal.
I think Trayshawn Ward, though, is a decent loss, too. I think he's a
But I don't think it's an area of need, because I think basically he had lost the job to Trey Benson.
True. But
I think they could afford him. I mean, and they also have Toafili.
Sure. Make a good point.
He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great get from Kansas State. I don't think it necessarily hurts Florida State, though.
Yeah. No, they certainly won the portal. I would say they hit a grand fucking slam in the portal.
Yeah.
Have you see?
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job. Top 10 transfer portal class. I mean, I do think losing Trayshawn Ward is a pretty big loss. I mean, I want to say he was like a top 10 in yards per rush in the country. So, even though Trey Benson took the job from him, he's still a damn good back. So
yeah,
that hurts. But
Trey Benson led the team in rushing the last 6 games of the regular season. And in 4 of those 6 games, Benson was over 100.
Yeah.
Ward's a good running back. Don't get me wrong. This is no shade thrown at Ward, but Florida State is okay at running back. They're just fine.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right. Well, let's break down this offense, because Alex Atkins doing a damn good job here. Jordan Travis, one of the better quarterbacks in college football. My only concern would be this: his game is kind of reckless in a way. Like, he will get injured a lot, but that's his game, is like he's going to make all these awesome plays, but he also puts his body on the line a lot. And that's the one knock I would say about him, but I think he's a really good. He put up monster numbers a year ago. I think he's due for that even more so this year.
Who is more responsible for this jump, Jordan Travis or coordinator Alex Atkins? 2 years ago, in 2021, they were 80th in the nation in total offense. Last year, 10th in total offense. That's a gigantic jump, and that was Atkins' first year. But also, like you said, Jordan Travis had quite the jump himself.
And I think the year before he was dinged up all the time because they'd bring in Mackenzie Milton. Yeah.
He was also raw. It took him a while to polish, especially as a passer. Look, this will be Jordan Travis's 6th year in Tallahassee. The dude is old.
On the Stetson Bennett plan.
And opposite of right down the road in Florida, Graham Mertz.
People go to college for 7 years.
I'm sorry.
Opposite of Graham Mertz, who saw his completion percentage drop every year, Travis has seen his completion percentage rise every year, and it was 64% last year, 32 plus 100 yards, 24 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions, while also running for 400 plus and 7 touchdowns. I guess the one thing is that you want to see more consistency because there was 4 games last year where he didn't throw for 200. So there's some, I think you want to see consistency, but you love his experience, you love his playmaking, you love the fact that he's not turning the ball over like he was earlier in his career. So I just think you have to like the fact that the guy's been around for so long and he's a playmaker.
For sure.
Well, I'll say this real quick. When your freshman year of completion percentage is 28.6, there's nowhere to go but up. So congrats on Jordan Travis getting that into the mid-60s. That is quite the improvement.
He walked through the fire, man. He walked through the fire.
I mean, he went 4 of 14 his freshman year. That's not fair. He really didn't play until 2020. So the guy, like I said, the guy's been around forever. This will be his 4th year as like a main quarterback, a main starter. But in 2020, he only threw for 55% completion percentage. So you could tell his throwing skills were raw at that time, and he's had time to polish them.
Yeah, and then if he stays healthy, even though they have Tate Rodemaker, who came in, I think that Louisville game looked all right. Trey Benson is in the backfield, as you alluded to. Same with how do I pronounce this guy's name again? Toafili?
Close enough.
Something like that. They probably still very sound at the running back spot. Wide receiver spot. Man, this kid, Johnny Wilson, who came over from Arizona State, I know he drops a lot of passes, but holy shit, this guy's like a creative player and like Madden back in the day.
Superman.
I mean, he's gigantic.
6'7", 235, matchup nightmare. He's almost like Jordan Travis as a quarterback, where he's kind of raw still. And you saw flashes, you didn't see consistency. But when
they got Ben Wallace playing wide receiver.
you know who he reminds me of, actually? The guy who died on UVA, the guy who was shot. He was like 6'7" as well.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank right now on the name.
I was gonna throw it like Mike Evans.
Lavelle Davis Jr. Was huge, and I want to say he was 2nd in the nation in yards per catch, and if I'm not mistaken,
Aronde Gadsden. How about that?
That's a good comparison.
Mike Evans.
There you go. Let's just keep naming old wideouts.
Johnny Wilson was also 2nd in the nation in yards per reception last year, 20.9. Yeah, it's tough to cover a guy of that size, especially on a deep ball.
Well, when
he's coming off a game where he just went over 200 yards receiving against Oklahoma in the bowl game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Ja'Kai Douglas. You get those guys, and they still got Winston Wright, who was a WVU transfer that really flashed before his car accident.
I'm glad you mentioned him. Hold on. Keon Coleman led Michigan State in receiving last year, 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. Winston Wright redshirted last year. The year before, he led West Virginia in receiving.
Yeah, and he flashed
700 yards, 5 touchdowns.
He got in a car accident, so if that guy gets going, watch out.
You're fucking loaded.
Yeah, Jaheim Bell at tight end too. I mean, this is a really, really great receiving unit.
I remember the Duke Mayo Bowl 2 years ago when Jaheim Bell against UNC caught, what did he do that day? 5 for 159 and 2 touchdowns. That guy's nasty.
You're talking me into. Should we get our futures on the national championship now? Look, they return a couple offensive linemen. I think that was one of the areas where they had to go out and get active and bring in Jonathan Byers from UTEP and Casey Roddick from Colorado. They're going to be starters, and the kid from Auburn. All those guys, I think, are going to be playing substantial minutes. are we concerned at all about the offensive line, or is this patchwork going to work?
This offensive line, while it is patchwork, they have 206 career starts returning.
Yeah,
And that is the most experienced offensive line that Phil Steele has ever graded.
Wow.
Whew.
That right there should tell you that this team, you should probably smash the over on that stat alone.
Forever. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I feel pretty damn good about this team.
How long has Phil Steele been doing this?
I don't know.
30 years.
We bought his magazine back when it was a newspaper. Right? Remember newspaper? That used to be a thing.
Let me do the math on this. 30 times 130. He's graded 3,900 offensive line. And this is the most experienced one of all time.
Wow.
All right.
Well,
experience isn't everything.
I mean,
It helps,
you
though.
got to be super excited about the offense. The only thing that could go wrong here is Travis gets injured because he runs the ball a lot.
True.
And he will throw himself into kind of like he'll go for it on. I love the way he plays in a way because he's a winner and he would just like he'll put his body on the line, but also sometimes a 4-yard run, maybe you just throw the ball away. You know what I mean?
At least Rodemaker's probably a better backup than most college teams have.
True.
Obviously, a big drop off from Travis if that happens, but at least he's a solid backup who's been around a while.
True. So, I mean, are we sold on this offense, Petty C?
Definitely.
Now comes the defensive
Number
side
10
of the ball.
offense in the country last year, returning all that.
Gotta love it.
Hello.
Gotta love it. And then the defensive side of the ball, Adam Fuller, defense coordinator. They also, as you mentioned, Randy Shannon is on that defense. And look, Jared Verse turned down the NFL to come back. He's an absolute fucking beast on the defensive line. They also brought in Braden Fisk, as we alluded to. They also have Fabian Lovett and Patrick Payton. I mean, this defensive line is pretty loaded. Linebacking core, pretty decent as well. Tatum Bethune is back. This was a kid that was at UCF a couple years ago. Kalen Deloach is back. And, man, I mean, I'm trying to find the weak point on this whole team. Now, maybe the secondary, but you bring in Fentrell Cypress. I don't know. Where's the weakness here? You got the two safeties, or no, what? You got Akeem Dent and Kevin Knowles back at the safety spot. You got Ronaldo Green back at the corner spot. Where the fuck is the weakness on this team, NC Nick?
Well, I mean, I do think they lose defensive back Jamie Robinson, the leading tackler from last year, who's now a Carolina Panther. He will be missed, but there's talent everywhere. I mean, that's why I say, like, on paper, it's tough to look at this team and find a weak spot. Now, but that doesn't always equal results on the field. Granted, they won 10 games a year ago, and with mostly this roster, minus the portal additions, but they weren't like a dominant team on the field last year. So on paper, everything looks fantastic.
I remember watching that
argue
Wake
with this.
Forest game, and Wake Forest kind of whooped their ass.
Yeah.
And
that was the only game they lost by double digits. They lost by 10 at home to Wake Forest. Other than that, they lost by 2 on the road
against NC State. So bad.
Yeah, they lost by 2 to NC State on the road. They should have won that game.
They should have beat NC State, yeah.
And they only lost to 6 at Clemson. So those are your 3 losses.
No, that was home to Clemson, though, because this year's at Clemson.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Still a respectable loss against a good Clemson team, 6 points. But the NC State game, they were what, at the 20-yard line with like less than a minute left, and
but that was questionable
down by
coaching,
2.
Though. Why are you throwing the pass?
Terrible
Why are
coaching.
you throwing the pass there? Yeah.
All they had to do was line up and kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Game's over.
Well,
look, and also Fentrell Cypress, tied for 10th in the nation in passes defended. You're adding him to the already number 4 pass defense in the country last year. Lights out, baby.
Now, does their schedule get easier based on them not having a coastal division? We're going to talk all about that. We're going to go game by game on the schedule. Hopefully, you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. Remember, we're going through all 133 teams like we do each and every year, but this year's 133. First time at 133. Last year's 131, and the other years were 130.
That's beautiful.
Look, I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience, Florida State Seminoles 2023 season preview is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania is here. Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. An underdog pick'em is a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL, season player props. College football too. They have a great college football player props when that season comes around. So many ways to win over at Underdog, and Underdog's available in so many states. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Once again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience. Hopefully, if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Remember, we also host the College Baseball Experience. I know Florida State's always got a good program. College Basketball Experience. Leonard Hamilton, not that long ago, went to Elite Eight with the Seminoles. The FCS College Football Experience and the College Football Experience. This one. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Subscribe, tell a friend. And here we are. If you're watching, you got the sweet graphic. Shout out to our graphic guy, Cam Curran. Win totals at 10, Patty C.
Expectations are back up in Tallahassee.
Oh, it's going to be fun to watch. But let's start things off in Orlando, Florida on Sunday, September 3rd, when Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers come to the Camping World Bowl. What do they call it now? Some shit like
Camping
that.
World Stadium. Yeah, what is the bowl?
Don't worry. You can get your fishing gear. All right, don't worry. They got all that good stuff. I think it's a revenge spot for LSU. They lost that in heartbreaking fashion a year ago, but I kind of thought Florida State was the better team all game in that LSU game. Brian Kelly's first game, and deserves a little bit of pass. I think if you're an LSU fan, saying it's their first game, brand new quarterback, brand new offense, brand new defense. However, I know Brian Kelly, and I think he's a maniac, and him and his family, I think, have been circling this game, and that is why, sorry, Florida State fans, I am calling for LSU. I did the SEC preview on the Sports Gambling Podcast today, and I had LSU winning this game. I'm going to stick to my word, Patty. See, I'm not going to Benedict this. LSU wins Sunday, September 3rd. They should just do a home and home next time instead of these filthy neutral site games. But who are you taking
At
here?
least they got the home states.
Yeah.
Baby steps. I want Nick to go. I want Nick to go first here. Who do you got, Nick?
So honestly, I think if there's 10 teams that can make the college football playoff this year, this is 2 of them. But Colby and I have been talking about this game. It is the rematch from last year. I like what Brian Kelly's doing. I think he's the better coach. I'm leaning LSU. It's a tough, man. It's like 51-49.
I think they're a 2.5-point favorite right now.
Yeah.
LSU is, I think.
I get so sick of doing this every single year with you guys. Every year you're going to say Florida State loses the opener, right? I had to do it and tell you it was going to be a good game against Notre Dame.
I was on Florida State last year.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I was on LSU, and you got a blocked extra point. Let's not pretend like they're the 85 Bears in this game. A
win is a win, and they did it in New Orleans with Steve Spurrier in the crowd. That was my favorite meme of maybe all time. The favorite tweet I've ever seen.
I don't even know what you're talking about here. What are you talking about?
If you go back and look at the LSU Florida State game last year, there's a tweet of this chick that looks like Steve Spurrier in the crowd. Do yourself a favor and look it up. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Anyway, look, Florida State's going to beat them again in Florida.
Wow.
Not going to happen.
They're going to
it's possible. It's very possible.
Nope. Not going to happen.
You are sold on these Tigers.
I'm going to lock it up.
Wow.
Let's
do it. Let's have a fucking lock battle again.
Let's go.
Florida State is the dog here in the state of Florida. Get out of here.
All right. Well, after they lose to LSU, they are hosting Frank Gore Jr. and the Southern Miss Very Golden Eagles. Not a terrible team, bowl team a year ago, and I think Will Hall's got that on the right track. But if they lose this game, I definitely think they beat Southern Miss. Now, if they beat LSU, watch out, because Southern Miss is not a bad team. But I got Florida State winning this one. NC Nick?
I think Florida State wins this regardless. I think Florida State is on a pretty high level, so it's not like Miami, who struggled with Southern Miss a couple years ago. I mean, Southern Miss is a good program, don't get me wrong, but I think Florida State is at a pretty high level this year. So.
If we're talking a couple years ago, any more than 1 year ago, Florida State's had some hard time with a lot of shitty teams.
But I think they've passed that, and I think they smack Southern Miss.
How do you see?
I think they win convincingly. I don't know if they dominate. Southern Miss is getting better.
Well, now they go on this. See, the ACC doing them a nice solid here. giving them a trip to Chestnut Hill. Rivalry game. Isn't this the rivalry game that they deem? Rivalry game?
No,
even
Syracuse.
Oh, it's Syracuse.
Syracuse.
Okay, yeah. At Boston College, look, at least you get it September 16th. If this was in November, you think, man, these Florida kids coming up to Boston, the cold weather, the strong racism, you know what I mean? Well, they're probably used to that. But look, Boston College, Chestnut Hill, BC. It's a look-ahead spot because they have Clemson on deck, back-to-back away. But come on, this ain't going to happen. Florida State wins by 17, at least.
Yeah, I mean, they won 44-14 last year at home. Granted, maybe a little bit closer because it's at Boston College, but it's definitely a double-digit win.
I mean, can we talk about the fact that Boston College probably should have a nickname just like Purdue has for spoiler makers? The Screaming Eagles. I don't know. We got to come up with something.
Yeah,
because they
have
are
they been lately.
Well, I know that didn't they get Florida State a few years
Glenn
back?
Foley.
Or
I was gonna say, are you still holding on to Glenn Foley and beating Notre Dame in the mid-90s?
They got Tech when they were number 2. Obviously, that was
okay.
That was a long time ago. But no, I mean, I want to say they at least gave Florida State a pretty damn good run a couple years ago.
I guess you got Flutie also, the Flutie Magic.
Yeah.
But we're really going back pretty far now.
Yeah. Can we could probably go back to the 40s and find something.
I mean, for Virginia Tech, I feel like they've been a thorn in the side on several occasions.
Well, Virginia Tech pretty much sucks now, so who cares?
Well, I mean, in Florida, in Tech's heyday.
That program's dead.
Yeah.
What are you doing here in this one?
I got to go Florida State.
So you got them 3-0, Petty.
3-0.
I got them 2-1. Nick, 2-1.
2-1.
All right, now they head to Memorial Stadium at the Clemson Tigers. I wonder if any Florida State fans will be reading books, reading spy novels in the middle of this one.
I doubt it this year.
This was one for a while, from like 1992 to 2002. Florida State never lost one of these. And Florida State had wins like this: 57-0 in 93, right? 48-0 in 98, 54-7 in 2000. I mean, they had some true ass whoopings, but don't look now. The Clemson Tigers have won. What is this? They've won 7 straight, and there was a 59-10.
It's been getting closer.
True. But Garrett Riley comes into Clemson.
2 years ago, it was a 10-point game. Last year, a 6-point game.
Yep, that trend will continue. Although
last year was the year to get them, man. I think the offense is going to be back going again. They
Clemson?
fire Streeter. They got Garrett Riley.
Well, shoot, Florida State is your turnkey program as well. It's not like
turnkey. Are we still claiming it's turnkey?
Yeah, we're claiming it's turnkey.
Well, it's been a while. It's been several years since they turned the key. Then,
oh, they turned it last year. They went from 5-7 to 10-3,
and still didn't beat Clemson.
Yeah, well, they came close, and they weren't all the way back, and now they're even better. And Clemson has a guy with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions at the quarterback position on his resume. Look, I think Clemson's going to win, but
I do too.
I think it's going to be very close.
Great way. Great spin there. I like it. The fans got excited for a minute,
and then I shat on him.
Look, Nick, who are you taking here?
So here's my problem. I mean, if you're betting the over, your ticket could be kaput in September. LSU and Clemson are gigantic games, huge games. This is like potential top 5, top 10 teams, all 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's why I can't bet an over. I can't do it.
If I was taking, like, if this game was at Florida State, I think I would take Florida State.
I think I agree, but I'm taking Clemson because it's at Clemson, and I expect Clemson to be pretty damn good. And I think if Clemson wins this game, I think Clemson could go undefeated.
All right, now you have Patty C. You still got them potentially getting the over because you got them only 1 loss.
I do, but look, LSU is going to be a close game, and there are a couple other games that are probably going to be pretty tough.
We're going to get to it. They get a bye. They get a bye after Clemson. Hey, we still got to do the rest of the fucking
Sorry.
episode.
Yeah,
right?
I'm 100%. Look, like I've said this before, fucking Vegas, if they're not giving you a half game, it means they're pretty sure they're not going to get to 11, and you're pretty sure it's not going to get 9. It looks like a 10-2 season for them.
It does.
All right, well, look, they get a bye week, and then they're hoisting the Virginia Tech Hokies. Patty C., rematch of the 99 bogus national championship where Virginia Tech didn't deserve to be there. Should have been Nebraska and Florida State.
Oh, the Big 12 in Colby is still smart and what? Almost
Nebraska would have beaten Virginia Tech by 17.
Decade. Look, if ifs and buts are candy and nuts, it'd be a fucking very Merry Christmas. But it didn't happen, and Virginia Tech did have the lead in the fourth quarter of that game. So you take your hatred and you stick it up your ass. Plus, that Florida State team was the best team in the country. So Florida State would have beaten Nebraska.
We never get to see him play Nebraska. So, NC Nick, you're taking Virginia Tech, Mike, rematch?
No. Yeah, Florida State has a nice 3-week home stretch here where they play Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and Duke. Duke is good. The other two, not so much, but it doesn't matter because Florida State is better than all three of those teams. Not trying to fast forward this, but we can.
Don't fast forward the Syracuse rivalry game because that's the one that they've deemed a rivalry.
Right. Even though Syracuse has been in the conference for like 10
years. Excuse me. But no, they win those 3 games pretty easily, and they're 5-2 in my book.
I think the Duke game could be tricky. They were only 16 points away from an undefeated season. Don't look past Mike Elko because I can see him bottling them up. But, yeah, I'll take Florida State.
Yeah, we're going to see how well Florida State handles success here. Are they mature enough not to slip?
You got to win in Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and Duke, Petty?
Yeah, I do. I was watching a podcast on Virginia Tech. They don't seem very confident at all that they're going to be any good.
Bud Foster told us on this very show a year ago. He was like, I don't know if this is our year, but, if he's telling you that.
That was last year. Can you have him on again and see what he says about this year? Because I don't know if it's going to be that much.
We will. Okay, so now we're heading into Saturday, October 28th. And damn if they don't have to go to Winston-Salem where Dave Clawson, don't look now, Dave Clawson has been kind of kicking their ass lately. At Wake Forest, Mitch Griffiths, no more Sam Hartman, but Mitch Griffiths, the guy, Patty C, is Florida State going to conquer Winston-Salem once again?
I don't think Mitch Griffiths is Sam Hartman. I hate to say it. No, Florida State is going to beat Wake Forest.
What if I told you they were beating them when they had Jamie Newman, too?
Mitch Griffiths isn't
Jamie Newman?
Jamie Newman either.
Florida State has lost 3 in a row lost their last 2 in Winston-Salem. So actually, damn, the last 4 games in Winston-Salem. So Florida State's 2-2, but their 2 wins were all 1-score games. So Clawson giving Florida State some issues. How do you see? You got Florida State?
Oh, yeah, I got Florida State.
Nick?
So again, I feel like I'm grouping games with the schedule, and so they have 2 straight road games at Wake Forest, at Pittsburgh. The question is, can they get through that stretch unscathed? They're better. They have more talent than these teams, but man, come on, man. It's college football. It's conference games on the road. I'm guessing they probably drop one.
Well, I got them beating Wake for the first time in some time.
Yeah.
But then when they go up to cold-ass Pittsburgh in November,
it's November 4th. It's probably going to be like 50 degrees.
That's cold for Florida. And also, let me tell you something. If there's one team you don't want to play in the ACC, Clemson found this out the years that they went to the playoffs and won the national championship.
Yeah.
Pitt bangs. And you want to talk about a situation where, Jordan Travis likes to run a lot? Man, Pitt, I think Pitt,
they lost a lot this year.
Dude, I think they're pretty loaded this year. Phil Jerkovic, I think no one's talking about Pitt. I think Pitt could win. Pitt could be the team that no one's talking about in the ACC that could come out of nowhere and win the thing, I think. Now, I'm not saying I would favor Clemson and Florida State ahead of them.
I don't know why that would be a long shot. Pitt's been pretty damn good, and the guy.
It's not a long shot. I mean, Pitt has been better than Florida State over the last 3 years.
Well, it's the style of ball they play, man. They're physical as fuck. So, I think it's a hard matchup. I just think it's not like Wake Forest. If anything, it's like polar opposite of Wake Forest.
Well, I don't think Florida State has a physicality problem. I think they'll match up, and I think they probably have better athletes. Quarterback play, I think, even favors Florida State at this point. It's the weather they have to contend with. I just looked it up. Average temperature in October, high of 63, low of 45. In November, high of 51, low of 37. So assuming it's somewhere in between the two, like high of 57, low of 38, though.
It's a night game.
It's a night game. If I'm Pittsburgh,
I got Pitt winning this. I think they lose one here, either to Wake or Pitt. I think it's the Pitt game.
I have them winning both these, but I will circle back to this game and one other one when I give my final over or under, if that makes sense.
Patty C, what do you got happening here on this 2-game trip?
I got them losing to Pitt.
Yeah, I do too. Then and another thing, it's a look ahead spot because they have Miami on deck. The Pitt game is perfect. It's a perfect spot to catch them.
Second half of a back-to-back with a look ahead. That's true. On the road. Yeah.
This one's at Doak Campbell, at the Doak, but Miami Hurricanes, they got their ass whooped last year. What was that final score? Like 49-3, I feel like. Something like that.
Yeah, that was a complete shellacking. What was that? Yeah, what was that?
Might be about the same this year.
Yeah, they're going to fuck up Miami. So
then there's a tough match.
45-3.
Yeah,
The Lions.
Look, Bowden. Terry Bowden used to coach at North Alabama, so it's a Bowden matchup. Bowden schools.
Let me just say this real quick, though.
What's that?
It was 2 years ago only that Miami beat them 52-10. I think you can't write off Miami in that game.
But rivalry game.
I will write off Miami in that game. All right. Dundee just wrote them off. All right. And then you have North Alabama. Then at Florida, which is always tricky. Florida played a little bit better than I thought they would a season ago. But I got Florida State winning that. And I got them going 9-3 and losing to Pitt, Clemson, and LSU. Patty C, what do you got them doing?
I got them going 10-2, but I think Florida at the end of the year and Miami, like we just said, you got two rivals. Beating them both is not a foregone conclusion. I think, between LSU, Clemson, and Pitt, there's 2 losses in there, and then maybe one more. But I think 10-2. I don't.
You got to lean over or under.
I'm leaning under.
Okay,
I'm leaning under.
NC Nick, what are you doing?
I'm lockstep with Patty C. I had them beating North Alabama and Florida, which makes them 10-2. But I think with that long stretch of wins, I basically had them winning 8 games in a row. Maybe they drop either the at Pittsburgh or the at Florida. I'm high on Florida State this year. I think there's a chance here that they could be like 11-1. I seriously do. I'm not going to bet the under, but at this point, I still need them to prove it to me one more time because you could argue that last year was a little fluky with Colby. You didn't even mention all the backup quarterbacks they faced. This is why stats can be deceiving. So according to stats, Florida State had the best passing defense in the ACC last year, only giving up 165 yards per game. But Colby will tell you because he was shouting this out last year that Florida State played like 4 or 5 backup quarterbacks.
No, you're right. It was the Louisiana game. I think the backup was in. Syracuse game, the shredder didn't play.
NC State game, I think the backup was in.
Miami game, I think Van Dyke was out. Georgia Tech was on their 3rd string. So there are some things, and you could make the argument that, hey, they were 2-3 against teams with winning records from a season ago.
Yeah.
So there is that. But
as an ACC guy, I really hope Florida State is back this year. I think they really could be because, like I said earlier, on paper, there's nothing wrong with this roster on paper, but they have to prove it to me on the field, and that's why I'm going to lean under. But they could be back.
I mean, everything you guys say, I agree with. But stats, deceiving as they may be, the number 10 offense in the country, the number 14 defense in the country, bringing a lot of talent, getting a lot of transfer talent in.
I think this schedule's harder, though.
Are they ready to take a step forward? If they do take a step forward, if they do go 12-1 and win the ACC and they find themselves in the college invitational, do they have a chance?
I think the schedule's harder.
It is.
Because Kelly's in year 2 at LSU. I also think Clemson getting Garrett Riley, Clemson's offense will move the ball a lot.
And the fact that you're at Clemson compared to last year.
Well, and then you get Wake at Wake when Wake's had your number lately. And then you're drawing essentially from the coastal. You get Miami every year, so that game's still there. You're also getting Napier in year 2 at Florida. So, and Cristobal in year 2. Think about that. They had a lot of first-year coaches. They had Kelly, Cristobal, and Napier last year. But then you add in the fact that Pitt and Duke was 16 points away from being undefeated a year ago.
Is that easier or harder than Louisville and NC State?
No, I think getting Duke and Pitt is harder, especially at Pitt.
Well, like you said, Elko, another second year.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's a harder schedule this year.
It's tough. Yeah. Overall, I agree. Overall, I think it's a harder schedule.
So, all right, I'm on the under. Patty C's on the under. NC Nick's on the under. We're unified here. Now, look, before we get out of here, we got Michael Barker, a.k.a. College Football Campus Tour with us. I got the opportunity to sit down with Michael to talk about Florida State, the Seminoles, and, what their college football experience is essentially like. And here's that interview right here. Joining us on the College Football Experience, Florida State Seminoles 2023 season preview is somebody that you should be following, folks, because, look, I know you Seminole fans are super excited to be back going, preseason top 25 the way you should be. Well, look, this guy, you got passion. Well, this guy's got passion because he goes to every single college game, I think, ever, personally. But, 5, 6, 7 games a week. And that is one Michael Barker, a.k.a. CFB Campus Tour on Twitter. How you doing, Michael? And thanks for hopping on the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate that kind introduction. I'm doing great. And Doak Campbell Stadium is another bucket list one we get to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, so many classic games been played here. I know recently with some tough times. I remember that meme of like a guy reading like a spy novel in the stands as they're getting killed by Clemson. But now that they seem to be back, and the fans always, they got the Atlanta Braves chomp thing going. It just seems like it's a fun fan experience. Tell me about your experiences there and the history of the stadium.
So Doak opened in 1950. It had only 15,000 seats back then, but we all know the story of Bobby Bowden coming in and taking his team everywhere and winning on the road and against everybody. And they just expanded the stadium like crazy. From 1954 to 1992, there were 8 expansions. Eventually, it got nicknamed the Erector Set by the way that they put it together. In the early 90s, they came up with a very revolutionary idea as far as putting administrative buildings, academic buildings in the corners of where the bleachers were not, in the corner of the end zones. And then they put skyboxes on top of that, and they wrapped the entire structure in 3 million bricks. And if you look at the outside and the facade of the Doak now, it's one of the most beautiful stadiums out there. It's the largest continuous brick structure in the United States, and the only larger brick structure in the world is the Great Wall of China.
Damn, I did not know that, man. I'm looking at the photos right now. Google image the stadium. It looks amazing. What have you been there just once, or how many times, and what games did you see?
So I went there. I went there in 2021, and I knew they had a Sunday game against Notre Dame in the opener. It was a Labor Day game, so I held off because I knew that was going to be a great one. And from a traveler's perspective, anytime you can get a non-Saturday game, you want to jump on it. That game was incredible. We talk about traditions, the pregame tradition with Chief Osceola and Renegade riding the horse out there, throwing the flaming spear in the 50-yard line to get the war chant going. Just an incredible vibe. And that particular game, it was a back-and-forth game. The starting quarterback for Florida State got injured, and Mackenzie Milton made his first appearance since his horrific leg injury when he was with UCF. The game went to overtime. Notre Dame ended up winning 41-38. But just, you talk about returning to glory and the team, that to me was a snapshot of everything that they've been and everything that they're capable of. And now that, that Mike Norvell is recruited incredibly well, they're highly ranked, top 10 preseason. This is the year to capitalize on it. So I had a great time in 2021, but I would love to go back again.
Yeah, man. These photos look incredible, man. I got to get to this game. I would love to catch it when they play Miami one year. That would be awesome. But, yeah, Michael, I appreciate you hopping on the show. Folks, make sure you give him a follow. Like I said, sometimes 5, 6, 7 games a week. And he documents it all on his page. So it's a really cool follow. You see, sometimes he goes to 3 games in one day. You know what I mean? 2, 3 games in one day. So you document it all. He has the photo of the game. A lot of times if there's a big upset and they rush the field, he's there to document it and puts it up on his page. It's awesome. So at CFB Campus Tour on Twitter. And thanks for hopping on the show, Michael, and talking about the Doak.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Colby.
Anytime. All right, that was Michael Barker, The erection set, they said. Huh? No.
Close enough.
Yeah, no, I'm joking, but I got to get down there at the Doak. That sounds fantastic. It looks cool.
If they
Google
go
image
11-1, the erection set will be the
Yes, it's true.
Most of the fans
All
in
the
that
fans,
stadium.
even the guy reading the book, right? They'll get it going.
That'll be like Viagra to Bobby Bowden.
That's right. That's right.
Well, look,
you know what? Coincidentally,
what's that?
guess what's trending on Twitter right now?
What's that?
Norvell.
Woo! Man. So let me ask you
The
this:
buzz is real.
Can we do this? Best case scenario is undefeated. They're in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
I would say 11-1, and they're in the playoffs.
Probably the realistic best.
Can
case.
you build me a case though? What's worst case scenario? They lose to LSU, they lose to Clemson, they lose to Wake, Pitt, and Florida.
They're not going to
Maybe
all
Miami?
those. They're not going to
Yeah.
lose all those.
I think like 7-5, 8-4.
8-4.
Yeah.
Okay. And how would they feel about Norvell then the following year? Because he loses a lot of production.
I think at 8-4, come on, you'd have to be crazy to switch up if they're 8-4.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You know,
Right.
I'm gonna.
Well, you've done all these previews. Like, how many teams return this kind of experience and talent? It's
I agree. That's what I'm saying. But also a lot of it is from the portal. The same people that say Colorado can't field a team with all portal guys.
you got to prove it on the field. Prove it on the field.
A lot of portal guys that are starters, or now I tend to buy into the culture that Norvell's selling.
Anything below 8-4 is a catastrophe.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch. That first game against LSU, huge, absolutely huge. Cannot wait for it, folks.
Well, let me say this: if they are 7-5 or lower, 6-6, if they have a terrible year, something goes wrong, Jordan Travis gets hurt, knock on wood, and he's on the hot seat, or if they have a great year, right? Maybe depends on. I know you don't want to hear this. How Primetime's doing over at Colorado?
Already 1 year.
It seemed like they had their chance already, and they didn't win them.
Well, he hadn't proven it on the big stage yet. So if he has a great year at Colorado, maybe, or even 2 years from now, we'll see. But then also, Norvell's from Texas, right? So, say Sarkisian has a tough year. Are they going to throw the bank at him if he has an 11-1 season and take him away from Florida State?
That is interesting.
Things to consider.
I think it'd be more likely they go 8-4 and he'd leave Florida State.
For Texas. I mean, Texas has fuck you money, so Texas could get.
Would Texas go for him after an 8-4 season?
No. If he went 9-3, though, maybe Texas, because knowing that the ACC situation and Texas is joining the SEC, I could see something like that maybe.
I see all these things a couple years away anyway. I think Norvell is there for now, and he's doing a good job. So,
yeah.
Here we go.
You're supposed to be happy about
Let's
this,
enjoy
right?
this.
Look,
Right.
I know we're all on the under, but I find, we do want to see the ACC and the Pac-12 and Big 12 show up and contend with the Big 10 and SEC, because we don't like this two-conference nonsense, all right?
True.
I'm rooting for what do they call this thing? It was the Alliance for a little bit, and then the Big 10. that old handshake deal didn't work out. Kevin Warren, that bastard, huh? Look, folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. We're all on the under, but hey, we would love to see Florida State knock off, some of these bastards out there in the Big 10 and SEC.
They're getting 2 chances this year against the SEC.
Fucking blood money, all right? All right, get out of here, all right? Look. Give us a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Give myself a follow on Twitter at the Colby D. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. Give us all a follow. And remember, we host the College Basketball Experience, the College Baseball Experience, and the FCS College Football Experience, as well as this one, the College Football Experience. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Check out that, subscribe over there, and please, if you can, hop on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, even if you think I'm an idiot. If you say, hey, Colby, Florida State's going to win by 2 touchdowns against Brian Kelly and his family, please.
There was a 5-star review recently that pretty much said that.
That's true. There you go. I welcome that.
Patty, did you catch that?
I didn't. What was
it? It was like it was 2/3 of the hosts are great. But Colby sounds like he's Alex Jones or something like that.
I'll take it. I'll be like Hassan Jones. He's a former Florida State wide receiver.
He does have a tinfoil hat on most of the time.
That's true. That's true. You gotta believe in these conspiracies. They're out there, man. All right. Why did Jimbo Fisher really leave Florida State? All right. Yes, play that X-Files music. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. Why, we can't wait for the season. Yeah, let's go. All right. This is the college football experience. Florida State Seminole style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
So we get our kicks doing the Seminole rap. We are the Seminoles of Florida State. We know we're good, some say we're great. Our goal is simple, best in the land. Rocking to the beat of the Modern Cheese Band on Saturday night. We'll start our stuff.